Hi, my name's Doyle. Welcome to my 7.5.4 PERLISTEN home theater. It's been a long journey. I've been an enthusiast for about 6 years, and I hope you enjoy my story. I decided to go with PERLISTEN because of the reviews when they came out. I mean, everybody was loving them. Plus, they had the measurements, and I was just curious about what technical perfection would sound like, and so that's when I jumped down that rabbit hole. I chose StormAudio because I had a Datasat LS10, which I loved. I didn't know processors made that big of a difference, or could make that big of a difference, and some guy on a forum said he dropped his Datasat and he moved on to StormAudio. And I didn't believe that it would be even as good as the Datasat, but yeah, it is. It's awesome. So the projector is a JVC NZ9. I decided to go with JVC because being an OLED snob, basically, I had to get the projector with the best black levels, and that was really easy. Subwoofers. So I have 4 D215S's and 1 D212S. I decided to go with them because I was, well, it's kind of complicated. Basically, the itch started with Shane Lee, blame him. Then I consulted with Matt Pose, and he just basically confirmed what Shane said in his review with numbers. And he kept reaffirming, like, these subwoofers are amazing. And so I had to try them. And once I got a taste, I made some very irresponsible decisions and got 4. I had the D212 because I was gonna make a 2-channel setup, but that got vetoed mid build, and so I want to send it back. The subs are too good, so I just slapped it in here. My heights are 4 Arendo Sound 1723S heights. I went with them because I just wanted to, well, full disclosure, I used to work for Arendo Sound for 1 year, and so I know firsthand the quality behind their products, but I just wanted to focus more funds onto the subwoofers. Go, get there, come on! The sound. You can't put it into words, honestly. It really draws you in. It puts you into the scene. It's so natural. And the sad thing is you get used to it pretty quickly until you hear, I don't know, until you hear something again for the first time, and then you realize, oh wow, I've come a long way. Yeah, for me, I really honestly have no more desire. I have no desire to even to try other speakers at this point. Satisfied. So this current build has taken just over 2 years to get to this point, and it's been a wild ride. And it's a very interesting room as well. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hey, Dirac Cowboy here. We are here in Katy, Texas. We've got a beautiful, amazing home theater to show you, a 7.5.4 PERLISTEN home theater with some R&D speakers. And I've got the homeowner here with me, Doyle.
Yes.
Nice to finally meet you, Doyle.
Pleasure.
How's it going, man?
Very good.
Very good. Yeah, so this is Doyle. This is his home theater. We're going to give you a complete tour. We're going to do some demos. But man, you've got an absolutely beautiful theater here, man. You did an exceptional job. This is my first home theater tour, and I'm glad that this one was the one. So just to give you a little bit of backstory, Doyle commented on one of my videos a few weeks ago, and he was like, hey man, would you like to come, film my home theater? And I was kind of reluctant because I've never done it before, and I was like, I don't know, do I want to start doing this? And then I was like, you know what? I said, just send me some pictures, and you know, if I can make it happen, I'll make it happen. So he emailed me later, sent me some pictures, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, man, I can't pass this up,
Let's
dude. You've
go.
got PERLISTEN, StormAudio, you know, 5 subwoofers, which we're gonna talk about, which is insane in here. So yeah, man, why don't you tell us a little bit about, you know, your home theater journey, and you know, go from there.
Okay. So I got the bug when I was actually at my friend's house. We played Dungeons and Dragons, and afterwards he said, "Let me show you something." And he had a theater in his basement.
Okay.
And looking back, it was like super budget, right?
Right.
And I think he had like an 8-inch sub and a small enclosure. And we watched some Netflix stuff, and somehow bass appeared.
Right.
And
where did that come from?
yeah, and I remember thinking, you could almost feel it. It was amazing. And after that, I just deep dived, like,
Kind of like my experience, man. I heard that bass and I was like, where is that coming from? And you know, as a kid growing up, when you go to movies, you don't pay attention to that stuff. And then when you get to a certain age, and it's like it hits you, and you're like,
right.
wow, it moves you. You know, you're seeing it and you're hearing it, but then you feel that bass, and it does something to you, man, where it gives you that bug.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so and now you said a basement. Is this in Texas?
That was in Indiana.
Okay, I was gonna say because
Yeah.
we don't have basements here. So.
Right. Yeah. So then I made basically I bought all used like 80s gear
Okay.
off of Craigslist.
Nice.
And I put it in a spare room we had upstairs, about 10 by 12 feet, and it was cool.
All right.
But for some reason, I wanted to move it downstairs to our living room, which is actually an extended living room.
Okay.
They removed the porch, so it was like 25 feet by 21 feet, basically 9-foot ceiling. Awesome.
That is awesome.
Sounded great. And then I didn't ask my wife. I just did it, and then, but yeah, that's where I started like upgrading to serious gear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what year was that? Around what time?
This is 2017.
2017. Okay,
Yeah.
so relatively, you know, that's what, 2017 to 2020. That's 3 years. So we're looking at about 6 years or so.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not a long term, but not a newbie either.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really got into the nerdiness, the science stuff.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Floyd Tools.
Oh, okay.
Thick book. I was reading that at lunch at work.
Oh man.
People laughing at me. But
Well, if they were sitting in here, they wouldn't be laughing. They'd be their jaw. They couldn't laugh because they'd be just in amazement at how awesome this sounds.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so that was 2017-ish. How did you get into this space here?
Okay. So we moved back to Texas, and we went house shopping.
Okay.
And you know, my only criteria was, give me the garage. I told my wife, I was like, give me the garage, and because she hates home theater, right? Because I took over living room, and so she said, you know, it's a double win because she didn't have to hear my theater.
That's funny.
She had to,
Little did she know that
Yeah.
that's not how it actually
not
works
how
out.
it works. But I got the garage, and she gets everything else, right?
Right.
She does whatever she wants in the house, and another stipulation was, like, don't come in here and like, you know,
Mess with stuff.
berate me and all
Right.
that. You know, it's my
This is
space.
my space,
And
right.
it works great. It
Yes.
works wonderful.
It does.
Yeah. If a box comes to the house and she's like, "What's that?" I just say theater, and then she's like, she like walks off.
She sighs and walks off.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So so we got this house. I got the garage. When I first saw this room, there was just like a car parked here.
Really?
From the previous owner.
Okay.
You know, it was a real garage.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
and it's just to let you guys know, the garage is detached from the house, but you have a walkway.
Mhm.
Was that there before?
Yeah.
Or- okay.
Yeah, that's like a laundry room basically.
Okay. So you had there when you first saw the space, there was a car in the garage.
Yeah, it was
so
a garage.
does it look like
attic. It had like a pull down attic.
Oh, really?
And everything.
Okay.
Yeah. But my neighbor is a contractor, and he can do anything. And so some guys were working on the garage, but he quickly took over, and he was excited. He was like, he calls me bro, and I call him bro, and he was like, bro, I would be honored to work on your theater. And
that's
so
awesome, man.
Yeah.
You don't typically find that because he's not really into home theater,
No,
is he?
no.
That's interesting.
He just saw it as a challenge.
As a
I
challenge,
think.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
He met it.
yeah, he just started doing all kinds of stuff in here, and yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about the front sound stage a little bit. What do we have here?
Okay, so we have well, obviously the PERLISTEN S series. We have the oh boy, the S7C.
Okay.
We have the S7 Towers, and we have two D215S. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the screen is, I think it's Seymour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Seymour.
don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, it's Seymour. It's the one with the like 20% better
Gain.
black level.
Oh, black level. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not as bright as their normal one.
Gotcha.
It's transparent. I had this behind it.
I was going to ask you that because I noticed you had, looks like you had a little bit of space back there, but I know Seymour usually is geared towards, you know, acoustically transparent and putting your speakers behind the screen. But
I loved it. Like the sound was great.
Okay.
But I didn't like the way it looked because the screen was like poking out. I just didn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I switched it around.
Okay. So you got your LCR up here. You got your two subs, and these are massive subs, man. So these are the D215s. So you've got one up front and then one down firing, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Push pull.
All right. So then your screen is the Seymour screen. Now you also have masking, the automatic masking, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. I often forget to use it, but yeah.
That's awesome, man.
It's cool.
So
Yeah.
what's the size of the screen?
It's 115 or 110 diagonal.
Okay.
Right.
Scope.
Scope. I'm real particular about my distances, so it's pretty much perfect for me.
Okay.
When it was in front, it was still good. It's just a smidge close.
Right.
That annoyed me too.
Yeah. Hey, man, we're always tweaking and trying to get everything done, so.
Yeah, perfection.
Perfection.
Yeah. And under here, we have the brains, which is the, what is it?
So you got your processor.
Processor,
You got your
my StormAudio.
StormAudio, which we're going to talk about.
So it's a StormAudio ISP like Core 16. And I have 3 amps. They are all Buckeye. 2 are Purify. One is the Hybex.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now Buckeye, those are the kind of like the DIY amps, right?
Yeah, there's a gentleman online who makes them.
Yeah. I've seen a couple videos and I've heard about them, and I was like, DIY amps, how does that work? But that's interesting.
Yeah.
So how do you like those?
They're great. They're great. I used to have Cherry amps.
Okay.
They were great too, but I sold those. I kind of regret it. But and what else we have? We have a kaleidescape under there.
Okay.
We have for streaming, I have a Hi-Fi Rose 150, and I think that's it.
Now, if you're wondering why you can't see anything, it's because he's got everything in black velvet up here. If it's not acoustic black, it's black velvet, which I'm a fan of. You know, he's got some black velvet hanging down here. It comes all the way. What is that about? That's a good, what, 8-10 feet maybe?
Yeah, that's a good 8 to 10 feet. Yeah, I'd say.
That really helps with contrast and black levels. I mean, he's got the JVC NZ9, right? So it already has good black levels. But yeah, I've seen a couple people do these. I know I saw Youthman on one of his videos. He did a home theater tour where they did that, and I was like, oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna do that. So I have mine's a little bit more janky than yours.
Really?
But I have yeah. I'm gonna do a home theater tour later on this year, so you'll see that. But yeah, so. Are these just boxes that you have them in, or are actually like racks that you just covered up?
It's my my neighbor made it. It's just like plywood, basically. And I stapled the black velvet on. The black velvet is literally draped over the speaker. Like I have like little like gummy tacks.
Yeah.
So it doesn't like slide around. Yeah. So I mean, it's not professional.
So did you do that because you were getting reflections back on the screen, or you just wanted all black up here?
No. Well, both, because there's a fellow in the UK. It's on the AV forums.
Okay.
He has a theater called the Shed of Darkness.
Nice.
And he was saying one of his things was like he wanted that front to be black, and so, and you can tell, you know, like when you have like reflections, how it eats up the contrast, and so I was just like, I changed my sofa.
Really?
Yeah, the one that's inside, the white one. Okay. It was in here.
That's funny.
And I was like, nope. So.
That is funny. So, and I noticed you got the black velvet also on the speakers as well. So I know the PERLISTEN speakers are black, but they do have that slight little sheen to it. So I'm assuming you were getting some reflections back on that as well.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. And I have the same issue with my iron dolls. Even though it's matte, there's just that little bit of sheen. I typically don't notice it, but at some point I probably will go that way of, you know, what you did with yours.
Yeah.
So your stand for your center channel, is that a PERLISTEN stand?
That is a PERLISTEN stand.
Okay.
I got off eBay.
Really?
Super proud. Yeah. because you didn't really see Perliston stuff on eBay, right?
Yeah.
But
Like
oh,
who's gonna put stuff
sorry,
on?
Perliston. I mean, I should have bought it from you guys. But no, it was like you know, it never ever happens, and so I put it to use.
Yeah, I can tell by the spikes where it is because they have that same color and the same design as you would get on the tower speakers. So now tell us about your sound stage or your front stage. I know it looks like it's a little bit raised up. Did you build that platform or how is
No,
that?
that's how the garage was.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just the floor plan. It's a 3. Is it a 3-inch rise? I think.
Okay.
Or maybe doesn't look like 3 inches, does it? Maybe 2. But yeah, it's all concrete under here. So
Cool. So dimensions.
Okay. So before I get into dimensions, I have to mention that I have a lot of what most people would call bass traps, but I just call them like low frequency air pressure absorbers. I have 10 that are 5 feet tall, 16 inches deep, 30 inches wide. They weigh 230 pounds.
230
pounds each. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So there's 2.
We'll give you some
4,
B-roll.
6. Yeah. And then there's 4 right here.
Yeah, you might be able to see the top of those 4 behind the screen.
Right. And then there's some more there, some more there, some more right behind the diffusers. But so basically where these start, it's just over 16 feet across.
16 feet, okay.
Yeah.
That's a nice big sound stage, and that really helps with the width. Now you don't have any wide speakers, but you can't tell, man. Like we were watching some demos, and I was like, that sounded like that was happening way off screen from what it was showing. So that really helps, and then the diffusion panels and stuff.
The diffusion panels really opened up the sound stage. Thank you, Matt Pose, for that suggestion. Front to back, I think it was 23 feet originally, but I got a foot of diffusion. Like it's 13 inches thick, and then that, so 23 feet minus 26 inches. So
okay,
yeah, about 21 something.
Very good space. And then ceiling wise, what are we looking at?
Okay, so you can see the rafters that used to hold the attic, well, the ceiling. Those are 8 feet, and at the peak it goes to 14 feet. So average is just over 10 feet.
Average is just over 10 feet.
You do the math.
Yeah, and that we were talking about this is that even though it's vaulted, because you've got such high ceilings, it really helps with that wide just frequency range, and it makes it sound like the room is a lot bigger and a lot taller than than what it is. I'm like, man, I wish I could do that in my theater, because my theater is only 8 feet tall. But yeah, you did it right, and we're gonna show you some images of the acoustic treatment that's in here. So I call this series the Everything's Bigger in Texas Home Theater Tour. And yeah, you went all out on the ceiling. I've watched all the home theater tours on YouTube multiple times. I've never seen anybody completely cover their ceiling in acoustic diffusion like this.
I wanted it. I was I knew I didn't have to do it because it sounded good already. But even just for the aesthetics, I just wanted just the look.
It looks beautiful.
You know? Thanks. Yeah. So I'm glad I did that. My brother, my neighbor, he was, I mean, you can see he like cut every single piece to make them fit.
I don't see any sheetrock, anything. Like everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Perfectly aligned. So, okay, you said that it sounded good already. Kind of tell us of how it sounded before you did this, because some people might be like, why is there so much acoustic? Why do you need that much? How did it change after you put it in there?
Okay, this is a good question. So we started with that wall of diffusion back there, right?
Okay.
It's 8 feet high, and well, no, technically it's 6 feet, because I have the first 2 feet is just low frequency absorption behind there. But we put the first 4 feet up wall to wall, and I pressed play. Had an Oppo back then, and I couldn't tell a difference. Not really.
Really?
Yeah, and I was my neighbor. He texted me. He said, so, you know, is it better? I said, honestly, I can't really tell a difference. And he was like, oh, man. And I said, well, we might as well just finish it. So he did the last 2 feet. I hit play, and then it was silence.
Wow.
Behind me. Yeah.
That's great.
It was kind of weird. I was like,
is this right?
Back there. There's nothing back there. Yeah. So
so really what made the walls disappear, basically, then?
Yeah, I mean, you know, technically they're supposed to, like, you know, scatter the sound.
Right.
It makes it sound like it's further back.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. It literally made the wall disappear. Yeah. So that's that, and then I have a little bit of absorption on the sides, and you know, they always say you want absorption on your front stage, so
Yeah.
I went overkill with that. At one point, you know, when I was consulting with Matt Pose, he did a room measurement in here, and he said your room is almost anechoic. He
Wow,
said like
really?
it's one of the deadest rooms I've ever heard. And I was like, really?
That
It
is
sounds so good.
insane.
And he suggested I just put some kind of a reflection at the first reflection point.
Okay.
And he said anything, just try even cardboard. And I was like, cardboard. And I cut strips and I taped it up there, and it sounded real good. It
Man,
really opened it up.
I have to go get me some cardboard now. And, you know, in the meantime, before I can do something like you did here. But yeah, so I actually got a chance to meet Matt Pose a couple days ago at CEDIA 2023. Really knowledgeable guy, really cool. We got to talk for a few minutes, and I was like, hey man, I said I'm about to do a home theater tour in Katy. I said Doyle, and he's like, oh yeah. So that's really cool that he was able to help you, you know, fine tune your room. And yeah, it is quiet in here. It's very quiet. But for him to say, like, just from the measurements that it's anechoic, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, because I had foam, like 2-inch thick foam absorption, like all down there,
Okay.
all down there. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we talked about the front sound stage. What are you doing for your surrounds?
So surrounds are the, of course, PERLISTEN S.
I never remember
what
what
is
the I think it's S.
I'm getting camera shy here.
Yeah.
S4S.
We'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah, it's the surrounds. It's the S series surrounds, and I got their PERLISTEN mounts and made a little like stand so that to mount the mount to, so I can angle the speakers at the ears. The room is calibrated for, you know, the center seat. I wouldn't think about anybody else.
Yeah, I do the same thing. You calibrate for yourself, and then you can do another calibration if you have that in your receiver or processor. You can do another calibration for your friends, family, whatever, when they come over. So every seat tries to have, you know, the best possible response, and everybody gets the same experience. But yeah, I calibrate for myself only because I'm using it 95% of the time.
Right.
So
Correct.
okay, so you got the surrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Now we said it was a 7.5.4.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, you could say there's more than 5 subs in here. So he's got the D215s, right, up front?
Yeah.
And then in the back, you've got 3 more subs. So which
Right.
ones are those?
So the two rear side subs, the corner loaded ones, are 2 more D215s. and and there's this guy on a forum who I'm blaming for that one. And then there is, in like under the projector, hush box and all that, there is a D212S.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some people might say 2 D215s are enough.
It was.
You've got 4 plus another 12, D212. So why do you have so many subs?
Basically, I wanted to be, you know, super irresponsible and just go all out. There's a guy on the AV forum, the UK one, and he posted a photo. Was it? No. He's also on the AVS forum in the US. He posted a photo, yeah, on the AVS forum of his setup.
Okay.
It's a smallish room, and he has a TV with the S7C, F7Ts.
So the same front stage LCR
Right.
that you have.
Same, but it's a small area, right?
Okay.
And he got 4 of the D215S, and he has them stacked. Can you imagine?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's 1 2 1 2.
Wow.
And I saw that, and I was like, oh no, that car I wanted to buy.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids. I can't take you to school today.
Nope. You gotta walk. But yeah, that's I just wanted to go overboard, and I wanted all PERLISTEN. So because audio wise, I'm even looking back, I've always been very particular about certain things, and for the longest time I had vented, and stuff sounded good, but some things I didn't like the sound of. And so when I finally went with sealed, it was actually an SVS SB3000.
Okay.
I was like, oh, this is so much better, you know? But I needed bigger,
Right.
you know, because when you go with sealed, you gotta get more subs.
Yeah.
To match the.
To match the output. And
Yeah,
everything,
output,
'cause
right?
you know, they're sealed, they're quicker, but they're not going to dig as deep. Yeah.
Right. And so yeah, that's how I ended up finally going to PERLISTEN subwoofers. That the D212S is there because I was gonna make a 2-channel setup, and it was out in the living room, and I was halfway there. This was on order. And my wife said, she sat down next to me one night and she was like, you know, I don't want to see any speakers in the house.
Oh no.
She was like, you have your garage. And I wouldn't dare, you know, fight for you know, okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine. So I had one more channel on the
Okay.
ISP Core 16, and so I just slapped it under there. Plus, you know, it's art. I got the art,
Yeah.
art calibration.
Yeah, we'll
so.
talk about that too.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
it
So,
helps.
okay, so question for you. Had you heard PERLISTEN before you decided to go with PERLISTEN, or was it just based on the reviews? I know Shane from, you know, his channel, he does a lot of stuff with PERLISTEN.
Yeah.
So how did you decide on PERLISTEN if you hadn't heard them?
Well, it was a leap of faith because so many, like all the reviewers, you know, they were saying, you know, and this isn't just like reviewers. It's not, you know, you have like different types of reviewers, right?
Right.
You have like
Everyone
the
has their own
lifestyle
style, yeah.
ones, and you got the more technical ones. They were all like, these are fantastic, right?
Right.
And so I was like, yeah, I want to get to endgame now. Like I've been at endgame so many times.
Right.
Oh gosh, that makes me think I'm gonna no. But you know, so I was just like, I just want these so I can just stop. I can focus on other things.
You don't have to upgrade for the next 20 years if you don't want to.
Right, exactly. That's actually my plan, because when I retire, I'm leaving the country.
Oh,
And,
okay.
yeah, so
So you're taking all this stuff with you.
no, I'll be done. I'll be like 60. I'll be done. I hope. I don't know.
Your ears will just be shot from
Yeah.
SPLs.
But yeah, so I started with 3 bookshelves, the S4Bs,
Okay.
and I like what I heard a lot. And so I was
So you
like,
started small, and you're
started
like,
small.
you know, just to kind of give you an idea, if you like that, then, you know, maybe you can go bigger.
Yep, exactly. Then I just lost my mind. But I'm very happy.
Very happy, yeah.
I'd do it again. Yeah.
Okay, so for the rear surrounds, you still have PERLISTEN, but it's not the S series, right?
Right. It's the R5T,
Okay,
the tower. Those were for the 2-channel setup.
gotcha.
Yeah. I had S bookshelves back there, but since I was going the Dirac art route, I wanted a more full range speaker.
Okay,
And I can tell the difference between R and S series. I can.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that tweeter.
Yeah,
I lived with these in the living room for 2 months, and then I switched them out with my bookshelves, the S bookshelves, and I was like, there it is.
yeah, because these are beryllium and that one's soft dome, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. But when the speaker's behind me,
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell the difference. If it was to the side, I could tell. But
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay, so you got the R series. So that means they're all timbre matched, pretty much, right? You can mix and match.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm kind of doing the same thing like with my theater. I have Arundel 1723 S's, and then I have some 1961. So, and speaking of Arundel, you didn't go with PERLISTEN on your Atmos speakers. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I went with the Arundel height speakers because, I mean, simply I just wanted to focus more funds on the subwoofers because I'm obsessed with these subwoofers. And also, you know, since I experienced Arundel sound being employed there for a year, and so I knew exactly what I was getting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how big they are. I know I've talked to them before, and they said that make sure you have like a very good stud that you can mount them to. These things are like, those would be considered a monitor for some other
They
companies.
are
They're
basically
huge.
right. Yeah, basically.
Absolutely huge. But they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Again, with those, you know, that vaulted ceiling, you've got them angled directly at the listening position, main listening position, and man, it's fluid. So, and of course Dan Romer, he's the guy that engineered both of them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. He worked
know,
on them. Yep.
and we talked about it a little bit, is this acoustic treatment.
Ah,
So you said that your neighbor did all that for you, right?
my bro. Yeah.
Yeah. So was your plan to just go the whole ceiling, or how did that come about?
It was the last thing we did actually.
Okay.
So we started with the lip. There's a 1 foot deep, 12-inch high ledge from.
Okay, yeah.
It's holding up all this stuff, right? And it's just full of mass, right? Like plywood, mass-loaded vinyl, air gap. There's actually a filter with activated carbon and then air gap and like more stuff that goes all the way around. And we started with that, and then I had different acoustical treatment, but I wanted to get maximum absorption.
Okay.
And so yeah, so then these were added, and that stuff in the back was added, more absorption, and then Matt Pose said you overdid it, and so yeah.
Yeah, and so
But yeah, so for the ceiling, I said yeah, I just wanted it from as much as possible.
right.
You know? So yeah, we went from as far back as you can go. Actually, it probably goes
I
right
mean,
up to
it
the.
looks like it's completely covered.
Yeah.
I can't see any of a part of the ceiling that's not covered by diffusion. So these are diffusion panels, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's 2.8 inches deep, QRD 7, and the rear wall is QRD 13. They're 13 inches
Okay.
deep.
And you could probably hear it in here, but if you were to walk out, there's a huge difference. It's super quiet. I mean, he turned off he's got his mini split running right now, and that's not too loud, but he turned that off, and before we start playing anything, it was just dead quiet, which is, it's awesome,
Nice.
man.
Real nice.
Now, we're going to show you this too. Your door, so when he opened the door, I looked at him like, that's your door to your garage. It is absolutely massive. It's super thick. It looks like it's about, what, 5 or 6 inches thick?
Yeah.
And it's solid. That thing's got to be at least 200 pounds, at least.
Yeah, I would say more than that. Like it's because it's full of activated carbon, which is a very heavy, you know, it's a dense material.
Right.
And my neighbor, he made it by hand.
Your neighbor,
Yeah.
your neighbor's a lifesaver. I'm gonna have to hit him up when I need some help.
Yeah. So yeah, he made the door because I wanted, you know, just to keep my wife happy and absorb as much as I could. We put a magnetic lock on there.
Which is really cool, by the way.
Yeah, it's got like a code and everything. And it's just to keep the door like as close to the rubber seal as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look close, it's a hot mess though. Like I just applied layers and layers of rubber tape, like duct tape, just to perfectly seal it.
Well, it does a good job, man. I wish I could do something like that at my house. Obviously, it's just me, but, you know, if I leave the room, and I've tested it, you know, I've turned it up and left the room, I can hear it all the way in the back of the house, and, you know, it's vibrating through the walls.
Yeah.
I can hear it, so I'm like, man. But, you know, what are you going to do?
It's just you, though. It's fine.
It's just me,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm in the theater. No one else is going to hear it.
Right.
My cat may not like it, but...
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I think the other things that we wanted to discuss is your projector, and then we'll talk about the StormAudio processor. So
Okay.
what projector are you using back there?
Okay, yeah, the projector is a JVC NZ9. I started out with a NZ7. Actually, initially I had an OLED, 83-inch OLED, and it was an itch, and I thought, man, I really want to try a projector, and it took me like 6 months. Usually I'm a wild impulse buyer, but
Same.
yeah.
Yeah.
It took me like 6 months, and my neighbor, he was saying, bro, I don't know, because if we go through all this and build this, you know, the stand on the back for the projector, and then you don't like it as much as your TV, you know, but we did it, right? And we got it up. It wasn't even calibrated. It was like the picture wasn't even like full size. And we're sitting on the sofa. I'm there. My neighbor's there. And we played the beginning of Ready Player One. Not the race, just the beginning.
Right.
And I was just like speechless. I was like, and my neighbor was like, bro,
What
it's
is
better.
this?
It's way better. And so from then on, I just curious. I was like, oh, here we go. I got to get that 9. I saw it. That was purchased from, what's his name? Ryan. Youth Man's
yeah,
partner.
Ascend AV.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Ryan Charpentier.
Great customer service.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, great guy. I saw him a couple of days ago as well at his booth. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go in the Trinov room. They had Trinov, and they were doing the, they had 24 subs in there, and they had a Skindo, but I missed it again for the second year. But yeah, Ryan's a good guy.
Yeah.
So he sold that to you, or a recommendation?
He sold it to me.
Okay.
Yeah. He sold it to me. I think it's the one they used. I don't know. I don't want to get into details, but yeah. And then what else? Yeah. So we got the NZ9. We have the thing that Panamorph. Yeah, we have the Panamorph lens on there, and the homemade hush box.
Yeah, that's a pretty big hush box. Now you said that you're gonna have to redo it a little bit, right?
Neighbor's gonna make another one. I asked him last night.
Nice.
He was like, I got you, bro. So he's gonna make another one because we designed it kind of bad. We're gonna make it just more efficient and quieter.
Okay.
Yep.
And then what are you using to put that on? Looks like you got some
That's
some
an
type of
Amazon stand.
Really? Okay.
It's kind of sketchy, I think, but
I mean, it's holding it
it's
up.
holding it up. Yeah, yeah. It's never made a strange noise, despite all the bass in this room. So
Yeah, it's that you know it's built well then. Somebody
yeah,
did some good welding.
yes, yeah.
Okay, so are you using any type of like that? Because they have that HDR optimizer or something like that, right? In the JVC, I believe, or tone mapping, or
I just
they have their own
followed.
tone mapping. I
I just
think.
follow what Shane Lee said.
You hear that, Shane?
Yeah,
Bad influence again.
because he does like the settings. I think for
Yeah,
like was it the NZ7, something like that. So yeah, I just copied that. I like the way it looks.
yeah. So Matt Pose basically calibrated your room for the acoustic part, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have I guess the brains of your home theater, which is the Storm. And which one is it you said again?
The ISP Core 16.
ISP Core 16.
It's the budget one.
Budget one. Okay. But it doesn't sound budget. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome.
And I've heard it a couple times. I've heard it at Cedia. I've heard it at M-Wave, so I can attest. But hearing it in a more controlled environment, a smaller room, compared to what was at M-Wave, man, it's fantastic. So, okay, you've got the Storm. Everybody can agree, I think, Storm, Trinov are the two pinnacle processor in-game. Why did you go with Storm over something like a Trinov or maybe even another processor, maybe a little bit less? Why did you go with Storm?
So I had a Datasat LS10, and
so okay, pretty solid too. That's no
right.
joke.
I didn't think that processors could make that big of a difference. I heard that and I said, wow. I watched John Wick 3 on that.
Okay.
Uncalibrated. And I was laughing. It was so good. And so, but Datasat hasn't really had a lot of like updating, over the past couple of years. And so I wanted something more like modern. And so on a forum, there's a gentleman and he was saying how he went to StormAudio. I had never heard of them. And he was saying, oh, it's so great. Da, 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 da. And so I actually reached out to a local dealer and I said, do you carry? He said, oh, yeah, we're actually a dealer. And I said, okay, I was just curious. Got it. And love it. It's super cool. Like they got the app now. I'm all like,
yeah, I saw you doing some stuff over there, and he was like, oh, I think I need to adjust the subs because it's too hot. And I'm like, first of all, it's fine. But I was like, oh, I guess he's got an app for it and everything. So
yeah.
Okay, and we're doing 16 channels.
16 channels. If I had two more, I'd have wides, but it's okay. It's okay because like these diffusers really.
Yeah, it sounds like you have wides.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what when I first did that suggestion, I listened. I was like, I had wides there actually, and I just got rid of them.
Yeah.
And I stuck two more subs in the room. So.
Okay. So yeah, so as I told you before, unfortunately I don't have the video to show you now, but I had a surprise for you because when you told me that you had the Storm and I asked you, who calibrated it, and you said Matt, I'm like, I know that guy. So I reached out to him. I'm like, hey man, I'm going to be at Cedia. Do you mind doing a little video of talking about how you do calibrating remotely? Because that really fascinated me. Because I mean, we spent all this money and you put your heart and soul into it, you get the best stuff, but then it comes to calibrating, and normally, ideally, you would be here in person, you'd have somebody come and calibrate it.
Right.
And it's a very advanced processor. Yeah. So I was like, how does that work? How are you able to remotely log into it, not physically be here, not see the speaker placement, and dial it in to a T and be confident? So we're gonna put that video right here because I got a chance to talk to Matt and sit down with him at Cedia. What's going on, guys? Haterade Cowboy here at Cedia 2023 in Denver, Colorado. You already know this guy. I've got Matt Strickland here. What's going on, Matt? It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Jordan.
Yeah. So thank you for taking some time out from your busy schedule at Cedia.
No problem.
So as I told you, we're shooting a video shooting a home theater tour for Doyle and Katie. He's got a 7.5.4 PERLISTEN system. He's got StormAudio. So I wanted to kind of just ask you a couple questions about that because I asked him, I was like, how does that work? And he's like, oh, he logged in and he remotely calibrated everything. And I know ideally you probably want to be there in person, but with something like Storm that's so sophisticated and so highly advanced, how does that work? How are you able to log in and do all this calibration and not be able to be there in person and still have the confidence that we know we're going to set this up right?
So this is something we addressed in 2020 when COVID was a big thing, right? Because people didn't want anybody in their homes. They especially, integrators were already coming in to do work. It was a good time for the industry because people were stuck at home.
Okay.
So, it was this little, what's the word I'm looking for? As little people in the house as possible, I guess I'll say, since this escapes me. And so, it was posed to us of how would we do this if we had to do it remotely. And I tell people all the time, it's really funny because my background's audio engineering, that's where I come from.
Right.
And I used to tell people all the time, you can't calibrate remotely. And then it came up, well, we don't have a choice. If we're gonna have to do it, how do we do it? So we looked at, the tools that we have in Dirac Live, and we said, okay, we know this really well. Can we come up with something that would be consistent and repeatable? So we came up with our own methodology and approach, and that's what we deploy. It's actually a service that we provide as a manufacturer, and it's what we call a pro remote assisted calibration. And we do it in a couple different levels and tiers. And funny enough, this is actually the second time that we did a PRAC for Mr. Schaefer there.
Really?
So
Okay.
he did one. We did one with him when we first set up his system with phase control, but active room treatment wasn't available yet. So Doyle is he's a guy who pays attention, knows what he's talking about, does his research.
So he's got some nice gear.
We
in there.
love that kind of customer. He's got a really nice setup, and he did it all himself. It's very impressive.
Wow.
He contacted us way before active room treatment was even out and said, hey, when you guys do this, I'd like to be, one of the first people that you already have set up to come do. So we did that with our reps in Texas went out. We had Mr. Brian Kirkpatrick, he's an excellent individual over at Bell & McCoy, went over and actually was in person doing this live with Doyle. So we went through, he did have to do a complete new measurement set because he changed his subwoofers out. That's one of the nice things about ART. If you don't have all the same equipment, we can actually use your old calibration project and just activate and configure and detail the ART system.
That's sweet.
But he did upgrade to some PERLISTEN subs. Five of them, yes. And it's quite impactful. This is for a 1-3 seat couch, if I remember correctly.
We're working on that.
Yeah, we're working on that. But hey, you know what? It's for everything that he's got set up, it's a killer impact. So we ran through a quick recalibration for the measurements. We went through and dialed in the ART. PERLISTEN makes it very easy for us to do that because they've got really, really low end. With the subs he's got in there, we were able to actually activate the infrasonic feature of Dirac Live Active Room Treatment, which is a separate sub 20 hertz configuration. It allows us to do treatment and run all the way flat down to the low end and give you all that really deep feel that you want. So yeah, it came out pretty killer. I'm normally with this, because we're not there, the one thing that we have to do is involve the customer at the end, and we go through listening tests, and we want to do music content, cinematic content, both things that are very soft and quiet, and then things that are loud, dynamic, and aggressive, because we want to make sure that we're hitting all the right spots on every one of those pieces of balance. Because you can't just set up for the loud explosions. You need to have everything.
The subtleties, the subtle sounds.
Right. It's what we call practicing the culture of excellence. Right. Like every bit of that has to be good, no matter if you're going from Nora Jones and a little studio on a piano to Maverick. Right. It's all got to be great. So.
Awesome. So I guess another question I had is, how do you go about, obviously you're not there, do you direct them as to say, hey, make sure your speakers are here, or do you work with what they have? Because everybody has limitations.
We work with what you have. What we do is we send you a preparation guide and checklist. We want your system to be all set up, ready to go. And then what we do is we have you give us a data package. Now that data package is every piece of information that you have. I want all of your equipment lists. I want photos of your rooms, drawings of your rooms, dimensions. If you've got construction photos, and Doyle, because he did a lot of this, had a lot of those things that he was able to show us. So that allows us to do our job that much better, because what we do is we're going to sit there and look at all that data and analyze the room. And then we give you a microphone placement guide. And Doyle probably has it. He could show you when you guys go to film it. And so we're actually giving you a PDF with your seating layout, and it's just independent for every project we do. Is all different because it's not a one-size-fits-all thing, right?
Everyone's situation is different, the rooms are different.
If someone involves us early enough and they want consulting advice on placement and things like that, we can do that and walk them through room sim and subwoofer sim placements and things like that, because we have very accurate technologies that do that these days. But at the same time, you don't always have that opportunity. So if you don't, we'll work with what you got. But we give you that, and then essentially we're giving you a roadmap. So we're showing you every position the microphone's going to be in, every height, and then all they have to do is place it, and we drive the bus from there.
Awesome.
So, and because of our background and what we know with Dirac and how to utilize it, we can actually look at the room and say, okay, the reason we're seeing this dip between 250 is because it's an Allison step effect, and that's the transition here because it's an on-wall mounted things. So we have the knowledge to be able to know what we're looking at and what we can correct, and it allows us to do a more detailed configuration for the system.
Cool. Well, Matt, I am looking forward to this home theater. I was just telling you, tomorrow when I get back to Houston, I'm going to film this thing. And I've heard Dirac, I've heard Art. Actually, I just heard a demo of it, and it sounds pristine. I mean, just excellent. They did a demo where they, basic calibration, right? Or no calibration.
No, so with manual calibration,
Manual calibration.
And then active room treatment layered on top of that manual calibration.
And it sounds, you have to experience it. So I'm interested to see how this is going to sound in a controlled environment in a home theater. And I mean, 5 subwoofers, it's going to be impressive.
I think you're in for a treat. My guy BK does a lot of these. He does a lot of these with me. He's probably one of the guys that likes to tag along because he just loves to learn the most. I think he's calibrated his own home like 45 times at this point. So he's been around. He's seen a lot of these projects, and he called me after, and he goes, "Man, that was killer. That is an excellent room." So
I can't wait now.
I hope you enjoy it.
Yep. Well, Matt, I appreciate you.
Pleasure. By all means, man.
The man himself, Matt Trinklin, thank you for taking some time out again. And StormAudio, hope you guys enjoy the video.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Okay, so appreciate you, Matt. Thank you for taking some time out at CEDIA and showing us, telling us a little bit more about how that's done. Because, a lot of people might think, as he said in the video, you can't do calibration manually, but you can. When you have something that's this advanced, a Storm processor,
right?
I mean, it's pretty much limitless,
It's a treat, actually, because, like, Matt, he calibrated the room twice, right? The second time when Art came out. And it was a treat both times because I've been doing Dirac calibrations myself since, like, 2019?
Okay.
And I thought I was pretty good. And then he did a standard Dirac calibration, and I was like, whoa. It was so much more, like my surrounds, my sides, my rears, and the heights, they just kind of came alive. It was so cohesive. And while he was doing the calibration of a process I was very familiar with, he was doing his little tweaks. And I was like, rah, 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 rah. Like, what is that, And he was explaining, and I was like, I understand.
Way overhead, yeah.
But
Matt starts talking about all this technical stuff. I'm like, it's way over my head, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So I was very impressed. And now with Art,
so tell us a little bit about that, because I've heard the demos. Actually, they just did a demo at CEDIA where they had Art turned on, and then they turn it off to manual calibration, and you can tell a huge difference. So how did that affect your experience before and after?
Well, while we were watching the demos, I was surprised because
you said that.
Yeah, they were scenes that I hadn't watched since I got this calibrated, and it's never sounded so good. It sounds so dialed in, and like there were points like Godzilla vs. Kong, right? The Hong Kong fight scene. There were parts where I swear stuff was gonna fall out of the screen at me. Like it seemed so real. Yeah. So Art's.
Yeah, and there was a scene in one of the first Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse?
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. So we were watching that, and there was a scene where the spider, it wasn't anything loud or bombastic, but the spider came off screen, and I looked at you and I went, that sounded like it was way off screen. And then it slowly came onto screen, and then we watched one of the best ones that we watched was the Batman scene, or from the Batman when he starts his car and he's chasing the penguin. Man, like I've heard that scene in my theater, but I've never heard it that visceral. And you even said, you were like, wow, I don't remember it sounded that good.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, even music, right? When I stream, I like my music. That's why I was going to have a 2-channel room, because when I listen to music, I like to sit further back. I like my speakers, my towers closer and angle more than this. Okay. So I can't, I tried it, but I can't do a setup that is optimal for movies and music for me, right?
Right.
But even with this setup, which is optimized for movies, after like Art calibration, it's amazing. That's not on, right? The center channel is not on, but the voice is square in the middle, and then you got like everything on the. It's like I said, the room's been calibrated by the same man before, and it sounds so much better now. At one point, they'll be playing like something in the song, and you'll hear the note go like between the speakers. It rises in the air, and it goes back down, and then it goes back. Yeah, so it's super cool.
All right, Doyle, so just a couple more questions for you, just to kind of give the viewers a little bit more backstory about you, because we all have a journey. I just posted a video on my channel about my journey, but we all have a journey and we all have a budget. You know, people might see a setup like this and think, oh, that guy, you know, he's rich. And yeah, some people do have more money than others, but everybody has a budget. Like he talked about, he wanted to save some funds for the subs, and so he went with the Arundel. But tell us about a little bit about your backstory and how you became a home theater enthusiast and what led up to that.
Well, after experiencing my Dungeons and Dragons buddy's home theater in his basement, well, okay, I'll go back further. As a child, we had surround sound in the house, even though it wasn't positioned optimally, right?
Okay.
So I was kind of used to it. I lived in Japan for like 10 years, and somehow I got my hands on 5 tiny little bookshelves.
Okay.
They were all the same, and we had this tiny apartment in Tokyo, and I had my LCR, and since I didn't have space to mount my surrounds, I got some like super, I don't know how I got these mounts, and I screwed them into the base of the speakers, and I screwed the base of the mount into the ceiling.
Okay.
Not supposed to do that, right?
Yeah.
I did it. I wanted to. I had taped the wire down the wall.
Oh, wow.
And looking back, I think it was all like mono. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
But, yeah. So I've always liked, you know, some extra in an audio setup, even if it's not music, just for TV.
Okay.
And so there, it just kind of expanded. And even when I was in school, I got this Sony theater in a box thing, was speaker in a box. It was 5 speakers. I didn't know what they did.
I know what that's like.
Yeah, I didn't know what. I had the center channel was like, it was silver, it was gorgeous, and it was flat, and I was like, what kind of speaker is this? And there's only one of them. Yeah, from there it kind of just expanded and expanded.
Expanded and expanded, and now you're here.
Yeah.
And I think earlier you told me it was about a 2-year journey to build this theater
room,
that we're in
to
right
get
now?
it where it is.
Okay.
This room started, the color was like that wood, like it's
Okay.
what is that like? It's not cherry. Cherry's dark, but some kind of like a
Oak, maybe?
It's like a cider. I
Okay.
forget. My neighbor knows. The whole room was that. The room was very bright because I had a TV, and the carpet was that white fancy stuff back there. But then I experienced projector, and then everything had to change again.
Yep, you get projection, you know, you got to make that room blacked out.
Yeah, and the velvet and everything. But yeah, I'm so happy. It's like it's in the final phase.
So you're not done yet.
Not done yet. You know what? Since I don't have space for anything
Right.
else, but eventually I will change the sofa to something. This is a Cloud 9, I believe, and like is his name Andrew Robinson? You know?
Yeah.
He was saying how like, yeah, Cloud 9s you got to keep like fluffing them. I'm like, yeah, he's right. He's right, because it's a hassle. Also the seat cushion tends to like slide out. So eventually I'll change that. Not anytime soon, because if I change my sofa, I have to get the room recalibrated. So it's gonna be a while.
Yeah. Hey, but you know, always tinkering, always changing. So yeah,
Yeah.
and that's something that a lot of people don't think about. You get different furniture, that's going to change. And if you have, you know, a sofa, or you get 5 individual seats, it has different material, different weight, you got to recalibrate all that stuff again.
Yeah. So I'm trying to avoid that.
All right. So if you could change anything about your theater, or do anything maybe differently to improve your theater, or just something that you would have liked to been able to do before that you can't do now, is there anything that you would change? Or
Oh yeah. I would have planned for a projector, number one.
Okay, from the beginning.
Ideally, you know, it would be like ideally I would be pumping air somehow. It can't be from the house, because then that's just like a channel for the house to hear all the noise. But I'd be pumping air into the hush box. But it's not that big of a deal. The biggest deal is this mini split, because I was told it's whisper quiet, but when you know how it is, you get a room quiet enough and it's like glaring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at least, I don't know, I would probably mount it somewhere over there, behind my head, and yeah, I change the position, or I do like what Matt Posed apparently did in his room, where he actually has it facing, there's like a wall between the mini split and the actual room.
Okay.
And I believe it's treated. And so, that alone will just cut a lot of that ambient noise from your your air conditioner.
Okay.
So that's it though.
That's it. Well, that's pretty good, man, because, I mean, you've got an in-game setup. I don't know. I can't think of anything else that you would need to change because it sounds pretty amazing in here. I mean, you've got the 5 PERLISTEN subs. And just to talk about that a little bit more, you have so much headroom that it's funny because the first demo that he put on was the Edge of Tomorrow. And he's like, I don't know if the woofers are going to, because I wanted to get it on film of the woofers, you know, expanding and extracting. And he's like, I don't know if it's going to do that. And I'm like, are you sure about that? You sure about that? And so he put it on, and yeah, the back one, it didn't move at all. And you said maybe the front one is a better one, and I brought it up here and it did move. But I mean, you've got so much headroom in here with 5 subs, and technically, if you count the woofers, you got more than 5 subs because you've got 4 subs that have 2 in them, so that's 8, and then you have another one that has 2, the 12, so that's 10. So you've got 10 woofers in here, and it's just, man, it's such a visceral experience, and especially with art, like it's cream of the crop, man.
Yeah,
you might have ruined my theater for me.
I mean, I owned like your LCR for a long time. They're fantastic. They look good too.
Yeah, I love the way they look.
Oh, even those towers, they might be considered baby subs because they do go
to 20 hertz, right?
Yeah, 20-ish.
So yeah, you've got a ton of headroom in here. Like your ears are gonna go out way, way, way before the speakers ever go out. So yeah, this is pretty impressive, man. Okay, so if you could pick one thing out of your theater that you love the most, it could be your projector, it could be your speaker system, anything. What would it be?
Speaker system?
Speaker system or a speaker, like subwoofers. What if you could start over with one thing? You can only take one thing. You can only keep one thing and start over. The subs. Yeah.
Subs. Yeah. Sub. Just give me one. Yeah. Yeah. Because I like it. You know, I love the sound of these subs, and I can tell you it might not be for everybody. Some people some people have like, you know, those charts where you have like the triangle goes out far this way and barely goes out this way. Some people, you know, they really want a vented sub, you know, or they want the biggest sub they can have, and it can be a refrigerator. To me, I really like a clean, tight sound, but these do that, but the sound is so like heavy and thick, you know, and they're beautiful. I like a good looking.
Some people don't like the look of PERLISTEN, but I like it. I like the checkerboard look, and it's a different design that you don't just see every day, you know. So I like it.
Yeah, I really I love the look of the speakers and the subs, and so it's like that's the whole package. Like I actively rearrange a lot of stuff, basically in my life to be able to get these. So
nice.
Yeah.
And like you said, it takes time because it was a 2-year journey to get this theater built. So that just goes to show you guys out there watching that are saying, I can never achieve that. I can never do that. And I can tell you from experience, I have stuff in my theater now that I never, ever thought that I would be able to get. Everybody's situation is different. Take your time. Start small. Don't be embarrassed if you have to start with the home theater in box like we both did. It just takes time. Do your research. Talk to people. Go to the YouTube, videos, Shane Lee, Youth Man, and read the comments and communicate with people. It's a community, and everybody's here to help each other. So, again, you've got an amazing theater, man. I think we're gonna try to record some demos, a couple of demos, and put them on screen and show them for you. Obviously, it's not gonna come through a YouTube channel, but it's pretty impressive. All right, Doyle, man, thank you very much for having me in your home theater.
Thank you.
Thank you for reaching out to me. This was an amazing experience. Hopefully I can do some more of these. You've got a beautiful home theater, and Yeah, I'm kind of jealous.
It was fun.
No,
It was more fun than I thought it would be.
Those demos were just absolutely incredible, man. And you did it right, man. You got the acoustic treatment on point. You've got everything placed directly where it needs to be. The image is beautiful. Absolutely, just a fantastic job, man. So we'd like to thank everybody for watching this video. I'd like to thank the guys at PERLISTEN, Dan, Eric, and Lars. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Thank you guys for the shirts.
Yeah, these are awesome. I love this.
I reached out to him. I was like, hey man, can we wear some shirts for the home theater tour? And he's like, yeah man, of course. So appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are continuing to kill it in the home theater industry. Keep making some awesome subs, awesome speakers. And I look forward to reviewing some speakers hopefully on the channel as well. All right guys, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you like this video, leave a comment. Let us know what you liked best about Doyle's home theater. If you have PERLISTEN speakers or whatever your experience is, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.